Hi everyone, it's Olivia again for another instalment of the Lazy Sunday Book Club, and this week I thought I would talk about 5 of my top Borrowbox bestsellers. So they're books that are either sort of highly talked about in the book community at the moment, or have been quite highly downloaded on the Borrowbox app. So if you've read any of the books I talk about today, please leave a comment below and let me know whether you enjoyed them or not. And hopefully there's some new ones here that you haven't heard of that will be worth a read. So the first book I'm going to talk about is House of Earth and Blood, which on the Borrowbox app looks like this. Doesn't help because it's back to front. But it is a modern fantasy book written by Sarah J. Maas. She's a young adult author, but she's gone into the world of adult fiction now with this book. It's quite a stonking great book. It's at over 800 pages. I finished it the other day and I really enjoyed it. I've not read any of her young adult stuff, but I'm now going to go and reserve a couple of her young adult books because they look like they're going to be equally as good. And it's set in a modern fantasy world, so sort of your everyday city, but instead of having just humans, there's also angels, fairies, demons, witches, all sorts going on. And it's really good read. It just probably take you a little bit of a while to get through it. There's a little bit of a wait on it at the moment because it is quite a new book. But get on there and stick your reservation in if you fancy that. The second book I'm going to talk about is The Guest List by Lucy Foley, which on the app looks a little something like this. And what it's about is a wedding that occurs on a little island off the coast of Ireland. And basically someone in the book gets murdered. Not that that's given away until sort of part way through. And everyone sort of seems to have motive, and so it's a real sort of old school murder mystery, but also reminded me a little bit of Big Little Lies, which is a book that came out a few years ago, which is about a murder as well. So if you enjoy sort of murder mysteries or thrillers, those sorts of things, then this is definitely going to be one for you. The next one that I know loads of people have been reading at the moment is a book called Dear Edward by, I'm going to probably get this wrong, Anne Napolitano. And it's about the story of a boy who was on a flight with sort of 190 other passengers, and the plane ends up crashing, and he's the sole survivor. So it's about how he comes to terms with his grief after his family were on the flight as well, but how he deals with being the only survivor. So I've not read this one yet, but I did manage to get it. Actually bought it on Kindle the other day before realizing it was on the Borrowbox app. There's been real amazing things said about this book, so I'm really looking forward to reading it. But you can obviously get it on the Borrowbox app, and it looks a little something like that. The next one I'm going to mention, unfortunately has quite a long wait on it, which just goes to show how popular it is at the moment, is a book called Pretty Little Things by Janelle Brown. So it looks a little something like that. So the wait on it is a good couple of months at the moment, but hopefully it might be that libraries open up quite soon potentially, and we might be able to get our hands on an actual paperback version of it. And this book is about 2 women, one of which is a con artist and the other of which is sort of a young heiress, got a lot of money, Instagram influencer, living the high life. And it's about how their lives cross, and I don't really know much more about it than that. But loads of people are reading this for their book clubs at the moment. It's all over Instagram in terms of people talking about it. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one once I can get my hands on it. And the final book I want to talk about is a little bit older, but was my favourite book from last year. And there's still people discovering it now, still popping up in bestseller charts. So I thought it was worth mentioning, and especially because it doesn't appear to be have a weight on it at the moment, is a book called Circe by Madeline Miller. Looks like that. And if you like your Greek mythology, then you will love this book. It is based on sort of a character called Circe, who is banned by Zeus to live on a tiny little remote island off the mainland. And it's about how some of the main characters from Greek legend come across her island, and sort of just her life as it's played out on the island. There's not really much more to say about it, but it is absolutely fantastic and one book that I always recommend to everyone. So hopefully some of those books sound interesting, and some of them you might not even have realised are actually on the Borrowbox app. That's why it's worth checking up sort of on a weekly basis to see what's added. You can actually request for books to be added on there as well. In the last sort of few weeks, I've requested for 3 books to go on there, one of which has appeared and I have borrowed already, and 2 of which I'm just waiting on because I requested them last week. So it's a really fantastic service that we can just go on and ask for books to be added onto the library. They're doing such a fantastic job of, keeping all us bored people engaged at home with such a wide selection of books. And I hadn't actually used the Borrowbox app until lockdown, and I've read so many books on it now. I've been astounded, really, how many I could get. Some of the ones I mentioned today do have a wait list on them, but I've done the same before, where if you just go on and reserve them, they'll pop up in your library when they become available. So it's a really incredible app. So if you end up borrowing or reading any of the books that I've mentioned in the video, please leave a comment below as to if you enjoyed it or not. And also, if you use the app, leave a comment as to some recommendations of books that you've read on there, because I'm always keen to try out different books on there, and sometimes I just don't always discover ones that are on there.